Hey, so what is going on, everyone? It is me, Mr. Mario, and this is a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I just kind of needed the motivation to do it, and I actually wanted to do this video a long time ago, and I'd even asked about it, where I made a video about my all-time favorite game, and asked if people would mind if they were even interested in me doing a top 5 of my own personal favorite games, and pretty much everyone said yes, we would love to hear top 5, so I very much appreciate that. It really shows that you all care, and if you saw that video, it's kind of already spoiled what the first game is going to be, so I'm actually going to be going in reverse order here, but I'm going to link it down below in the description, so after or during or before you watch this video, if you want to hear a detailed explanation as to why whatever game I'm picking for my #1 spot is my all-time favorite game, I made a really long video about that. Now, I also want to issue a few disclaimers. Number one, these are all opinions, okay? These are my top 5 favorite games, alright? And this list also might upset a few people because there's going to be some people who might ask, oh, what about this? What about this? What about that? This game was better. That game was better. Those are all opinions, all, you know, it depends on person to person, man. If your favorite games came out in the past 2 years, that's all on you. And that's actually going to be another thing, is the time period of this. You see, one thing with me is I played video games a little bit in the 5th generation, but I didn't actually own a game console until the 6th generation of systems came around. So I kind of got a little bit of a late start to gaming, kind of thanks to my parents and, you know, compared to all my friends and all that stuff. But because of that, all these games, I will tell you, are from this millennium. So they're all after the year 2000, which also might upset a few people because they're going to say, oh, why didn't this game get on there? Why didn't this game get on here? There's plenty of games from the 90s and 80s that I have dabbled in, I have played and everything, but they're not going to be on this list. So sorry if that upsets anyone, but also not sorry at the same time. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this. So my #5 top favorite game of all time is Silent Hill 2. Not the first one, the second one. This to me right here shows that a sequel can be better, because there's some people that try and say, oh, the original is always the best, that's what started it. If you didn't have the original, you wouldn't have the sequels. I don't agree that it's going to be the best all the time. I also don't agree that just because the original game is there means that it's going to be the best at all, because I find that really silly. There can be a game that comes out that's horrible, and then the sequel can be better in every single fashion, and then I don't know how people would say that the first one was better. Again, people try and say that, oh, the first game will be better, the first movie is better because that started it all, and it's like, yeah, something can have a poor start and it can get better, but I don't know how the sequels being better will make the first one technically the better game or movie or whatever it is, but that's besides the point on here. I absolutely love this game. This game was pretty much maybe the first horror game I played, actually. It's really the first horror game that really comes to mind. Now, I'd seen some others, like, you know, Resident Evil and even the first Silent Hill a little bit, but I remember I rented this game. I had no idea how to play it. I was way too young to be playing this game, but there was just something about the game pulling me in. It was the atmosphere, the creepiness of it, the way the game was designed at the time, and even just the very first cutscene that really happens, where James is in the bathroom and he's just sighing. He doesn't know what he's doing. He goes outside and he goes to his car, and you just see a basic overlook of Silent Hill right there before he delves in, and he just has a 1 or 2 minute monologue about him talking about his wife that passed away. And even me as a child, I saw that and I was like, damn. Just damn.
In my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said, Mary. My wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. A dead person can't write a letter. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. So then, why am I looking for her? Our special place. What could she mean? This whole town was our special place. Does she mean the park on the lake? We spent the whole day there. Just the two of us, staring at the water. Could Mary really be there? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
Like that's really all I could think at that time, and that is what goes through your head, and that right there sets the entire mood of the whole game right there. The game itself, it's lonely, it's depressing, it's terrifying all at the same time. In fact, I didn't even complete the game until a few years ago, and there were several times where it's one specific time, I don't want to really spoil it, but there was one point in time where you find out something in the story. I literally had to put my controller down on my desk, and I just stared at the screen for about 2 minutes. Just a game like that, even still as an adult, having that profound of an effect on me is absolutely insane, especially for a game that came out in 2001. This is no longer a new game anymore. A lot of people will say, well, if it's from, this millennium, it's a new game. Well, this is, a 15, 16-year-old game almost at this point in time, so no, it's really not that new anymore. But Silent Hill 2, multitude of reasons why it is my favorite, and it's introduced me to other games in the series as well too. But a lot of people also contend that they still believe Silent Hill 2 is the best one. That could change between person to person. The first one was a great game. Silent Hill 4, The Room, I absolutely loved. And Silent Hill 3, I didn't really get too into it for whatever reason, but 2 still has a special place in my heart. Number 4 is a game that is starting to show its age now, but it is still a relatively newer game compared to Silent Hill 2, and that is The Darkness. Now, I will be honest, I really did not know anything about the character or about the Darkness lore going into this game. Really, the reason why I picked it up is because it looked cool. I'd heard, several great things about it from friends, and it was, I want to say, after Christmas of 2007, GameStop was having a sale where they had this game for like $15 or $20 brand new. I picked it up, and that was one of the best budget purchases I ever put into a game. In fact, this is one game right here that is unfortunately locked down to the specifics and to the limitations of consoles. This game, you can only get it on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and the thing that drives me nuts is that the sequel came out on PS3, 360, and PC, so when that came out on PC, I was like, oh, I'll just get the first one on PC and I'll replay it again, because I would, but it never came out on PC, and I have no idea why. But this game is great. You follow, this goth-looking dude who's in the Mafia named Jackie Estacado on his 21st birthday. He ends up, kind of possibly watching a bit too much anime and has all these tentacles come out of him that talk to you and destroy everything and rip things apart. But this game is just absolutely insane. Now, there was also some stuff I was going through personally at the time, which wasn't making me, the happiest person, to say the least. But then playing this game, I don't know if it affected it at all, but it did. The feelings I had in the real world and then playing this game definitely amplified the experience and the enjoyment of it. It sounds kind of dark in a way, but at the same time, there are some games where it's like you'll just see that, and if you're in a certain type of mood or certain type of funk, it will just become amplified and you'll love the experience even more. I mean, there's a multitude of things that happen. There's going to be some spoilers right here, but for example, you see yourself in first person kill yourself. Never seen that in any other game. You go to hell twice. The lore on here is absolutely insane, and powering up your character is just unbelievable, to the point where I have played through this game a multitude of times, probably at least 4 times, just because it is still so fun to play through. My only real qualm about it is they did do a, open world type feel of the game, which for this didn't really work out too well. There are several times you get lost and you will get frustrated, but besides that, it is still quite an enjoyable game, and one that I would highly recommend. And if this ever gets a PC remaster or re-release, I would pick it up in a heartbeat. Next up, you all know I love this series, but this is Halo 3 for my number 3 all-time favorite game. Now, I actually had to kind of choose between this because I actually personally like Halo 4 a little more. That's almost what it seems like. But to me, Halo 3 has to take the all-time favorite spot due to the fact that this game introduced a lot of things for me. First off, this game got me to purchase a 7th generation console. I went into the 7th generation with an Xbox 360 Elite. I got it in the summer of 2007, gearing up for Halo 3 and Grand Theft Auto 4 at the time. Those were my main things. I ended up getting the Legendary Edition of Halo 3, and it was supposed to be this epic end to the Halo trilogy, because at the time, we didn't know that there were going to be more Halo games, but it was supposed to be this end. It was going to be, you know, finishing the fight and everything, and this introduced so many new things. It introduced to me, you know, it got me onto Xbox Live. It introduced me to online co-op, either, you know, in multiplayer or on the campaign itself. I absolutely loved the campaign in this game. It introduced me to DLC, to user-made maps, and at the time, for consoles to have this type of Forge mode on here was absolutely insane. So this really stepped it up for many other games that were coming over to consoles, because you started seeing other games that had similar components, and I remember even Far Cry 2 when that came out, that had a quite similar map builder on there, which, I mean, was on the PC version, granted that, but I think they probably looked at the popularity of Forge on Halo 3 and saw, you know what? All these console players know how to make some pretty awesome maps. I think we could do the same thing as well. So this game just absolutely astounded me. I love the storyline on here because it really, you got the feeling that it was supposed to be the last Halo, and you got the feeling that the developers put their all into it. They brought you a nice, shiny, sleek, smooth multiplayer component as well too. They gave this game long-term support, you know, both for casual players and for professional players at the same time, and it was never boring. I have friends, you know, I had moved on to other games as well too, but I always came back to Halo 3, but I had friends that played this game religiously for 2 to 4 years when it originally came out on the Xbox 360. Plus, there's also a ton of glitches that you can have fun with, and there's just endless amounts of fun that you can go back and have with this game. In fact, about a year or two ago, one of my best friends and I both went into a Forge match on here and just messed around Forged and talked for 2 hours. Like, this is the type of game where you could do that on easily. Now, you all might be saying, okay, well, that's easy, you know, you're going to be a Halo fanboy, and I will admit I'm a bit of a Halo fanboy, honestly, but this will probably surprise some people, because my number 2 all-time favorite game is Call of Duty 4. And I know a lot of people on here think that I absolutely hate Call of Duty, or I'm not a Call of Duty fan or anything like that. I used to be a Call of Duty fan. I'm not a fan of the newer revisions of the games, even though I still try them out and play them, because, you know, they've gotten a little bit better. You know, it really had a big slump for a while, but then Black Ops 3 was a pretty solid game. I actually liked Advanced Warfare, but the game that none of them even hold a candle to, in my opinion, is Call of Duty 4. Some people actually fight over World at War and Call of Duty 4. I say Call of Duty 4 is the superior one. Granted, see, I just did not like World at War that much. I thought it was boring, I thought it was slow, it was way too glitchy, but Call of Duty 4 was such a big step for the Call of Duty series. First off, Call of Duty 1 through 3 were all World War II games. Call of Duty 4 was the first modern game, and for a while, most of the big first-person shooters were Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, and other types of World War II games. I wanted a game set in present day, or realistic, you know, a future, you know, into the next few years. There were games that were either futuristic like Halo, or old school like, as I said, Medal of Honor, or Call of Duty. This was one of the first, you know, modern shooters that I actually really enjoyed. It was fast, it was fun, it was fast-paced, I already said that, but it was easy enough to pick up and play, and that's what I really enjoyed with it. In fact, I'm putting it up higher on the list, you know, number 2 here, because I like the multiplayer on Call of Duty 4 more than Halo 3. Now, the campaign I thought was real great. You know, the special, it wasn't special ops, but there was I think there was an arcade mode, or there was an extra mode on there that I thought was pretty fun as well too. But the big thing for me was that multiplayer component. I'm absolutely disappointed that they only released one map pack on there. They released the variety map pack, and I was sure to pick that up, but I've picked up this game multiple times. I've bought it multiple times on the 360, twice on the PC, and I only bought it once on PS3, just because I was able to get a free damaged copy of it that actually ended up working, so it worked pretty well in my favor, but it was damaged enough where the store could not sell it. But that's besides the point. What I loved about this game was just that fast multiplayer component and everything that went along with it as well too. It was great, it was balanced, it worked out really well, and there was a multitude and wealth of options that you could pick from playing this game. I mean, I would have all-nighters on this game. I had my first serious clan on this game as well too, and in fact, this game is life-changing for me. A lot of people might say I'm taking video games too seriously. Sometimes that might be the case, but the reason why I say it is life-changing is because in 2014, yeah, it was 2014, I actually went up to Canada to meet a few of the members of the clan that I had formed. You know, we had this clan in 2008 or so, and then it disbanded after a year or two, but I still kept in contact with most of the guys. In fact, I still have these guys' personal information. They have mine as well, too. Not in a stalker form, but we have each other's, like, phone numbers and all that stuff, and we still talk, sometimes us more than others, and sometimes, as you all might know from a story I made about my clan, there are some people that kind of just dropped off the face of the earth. But Tan Squid, who's been on the channel a few times and even has been here in person as well too, he's actually the person that I visited, and I met him through the clan. Even Jamie, I met him through the clan as well too. So this solidified, you know, some really awesome long-term, you know, long-distance friendships that even turned into in real life friendships when I went to visit them. And that's why this game is a big life changer for me as well too, just in terms of multiplayer games, but also in terms of friendship. And finally, my all-time favorite game, which some people who might have already seen the video would know, but if you haven't, is Grand Theft Auto 3. The reason why Grand Theft Auto 3 is my all-time favorite game is because this is the game that got me into gaming. You see, when I saw games before, I'd seen, you know, Croc, Super Mario, Donkey Kong, and while those games were all awesome and fun, Grand Theft Auto 3 was the first mature game that I had seen. Grand Theft Auto 3 was the first game where I felt like I was invincible. Not really invincible because I died, but I felt like I could do whatever I wanted to. Granted that I also loved cars a lot, so that was also my thing as well too. When I was younger, I absolutely loved cars and I was obsessed with them. Really not that anymore. I like car audio more, but I was insanely obsessed with cars. And when I saw that you could hit the triangle button and get out of your car and go to any other car in the city and hit the triangle button on your PlayStation 2 controller and hop into that car, I was absolutely mind blown. I started driving around. There were people that had interactions. There were gang fights going on. This was a living, breathing city, and this was the first time I had seen something like this. In fact, the first few hours I played the game, I played at other people's houses, and I didn't even know that you could do missions. I thought the whole point of the game was just to drive around awesome cars, blow them up, die, get another car, rinse and repeat. Of course, after a few hours of doing this, when I got my own copy of GTA 3 and a PlayStation 2, and that's another thing, I actually got a PS2 just for this game. It was supposed to come out on Xbox and it kept getting delayed or pushed back, so I ended up getting a PS2 and Grand Theft Auto 3 for this game right here. But when I figured out, you know, that it's not that fun when you have the game for 6 hours and you're just going around doing the same thing, I found out there were missions that you could do, and I was bad at them. But this was absolutely mind-blowing, and there were characters in there too, and there was a wealth of this storyline sitting there as well. You could unlock other islands, you could go to other places, get multiple different save houses, new cars, anything like that. This was just absolutely mind-blowing to me, and this is something that the first Grand Theft Autos had done. Grand Theft Auto 1, Grand Theft Auto London, and Grand Theft Auto 2 had done, but this was the first time that I had seen it done well on a 3D level. Some people might debate that Driver 2 did the same thing, but Driver 2 really did not have that much of an open feel to it, mainly due to the fact that you were under a time restraint, and you also had to do mission to mission to mission to mission, while as in Grand Theft Auto 3, you could do whatever you wanted to. It took me years and different platforms to play this game, but I have this game on PS2, Xbox, PC, mobile. I think I have it on both iOS and Android. I have it on almost every platform, if not every platform you could pick it up on. And this is a game that if you put it in front of me, I have to tear my way off of the computer, off of the console to do something else, because I'll just get lost in this world and I will just start doing the missions, you know, without even thinking at all, because I've memorized the city so well, and it is still Portland. The island Portland is still burned into my brain from when I was younger. So those are my top 5 all-time favorite games. I'd like to know, what are your top 5 all-time favorite games, or even top 5 games of the year, or the generation, or last generation, or the millennium, anything like that, because even though this is all from one millennium, this is my all-time favorite game selection. And in a few years, it might change, but granted that the newest game on here came out in the 7th generation, it's possible that this could change up, we don't know. One honorable mention, a big honorable mention I want to put up on here actually, is Heavy Rain. Reason why I want to put Heavy Rain on here is because, to me, this came out at a quite opportune time. It came out at a time I was not playing video games, I wasn't interested in them, I was more interested in, honestly, girls and movies and music and TV shows, not really games. But this was a game that was an interactive movie. This game made me pick up a PlayStation 3. This is a game I'd heard about for years before playing the demo, and when I played the demo, I had to get the game, I had to get a PS3, and when I started playing it, I was physically depressed playing this game. This game actually made me depressed and affected me for the days that I was playing it. I did not feel good until I finished this game just because it was so enticing and it just pulls you into the story. At one point, you know, one of your sons from one of the characters, because there's different characters, one of your sons ends up getting run over by a car and he dies. And the whole time in the game, even though you know that it's been programmed in to do that, because you had control of this character, of this movie, it's like a movie, as I said, that you control, but because you have that sense of control, you feel like the whole time you're playing the game, you could have gone back and stopped that. And you just have this overwhelming guilt while playing it the entire time. There's been no other game that has done that to me. Beyond Two Souls is also quite an emotional game, but Heavy Rain, that made me pick up a PlayStation 3, and you all don't know, I don't like the PS3 that much, so that's why it gets a huge honorable mention from me. But anyways, this is Mr. Mario, signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. Let me know what you all think of this.